watching 5 and it's movie time in a moment after a roundup of Sunday's 5 news and sport.
Tonight on 5 News, 4 children and a man die as their car is set on fire. French cops foil an attempt to assassinate President Chirac on Bastille Day. And Japanese plans for a supersonic airliner go up in smoke. Good afternoon. 4 children and a man were found dead inside a burnt-out car early this morning. Detectives say they were killed in East London as a possible result of murder and suicide. Tonight, relatives of the victims are being comforted by friends. Emma Murphy reports.
It was on this deserted industrial estate in East London that fire crews made their horrific discovery. Having been called to a car fire, they discovered the bodies of a man and 4 children inside a burning Nissan Primera. A major investigation was launched. Specialist forensic scientists, along with a Home Office pathologist, have been at the scene throughout the day. Although this investigation is only in its early stages, officers believe they know the identity of those who died. It's thought to be a father and his 4 young children. A woman, thought to be the mother, has already been informed of the find by detectives. The inquiry will now look into the family's background and seek to establish how the children died, whether they died before the fire or as a result of it. Detectives have so far been unable to say if an accelerant had been used inside the vehicle. Post-mortems will be carried out later today. However, DNA tests will be required to formally confirm the identities of those who died. Officers who went to the scene have been left shocked.
And it would be foolish of me to say that people from the emergency service are not affected. However, my officer's objective is to establish the truth of what's occurred here. They will do that professionally, and they will know that their objective will be to provide the family and relatives of these victims with the best possible account of what's occurred.
He loves his family so much, and I can't believe he would do what he has just done. I don't know what was the motive, but he loves his family so much, and I don't know what went wrong.
CCTV footage will now be used to establish the car's movements earlier in the evening. Emma Murphy, 5 News.
French President Jacques Chirac survived an assassination attempt today during the Bastille Day parade. The would-be assassin pulled a gun from a guitar case before firing a shot into the air. He was then pounced on by police. Emma Kennedy reports.
The Bastille Day celebrations began with a spectacular flypast over the Arc de Triomphe. But as President Chirac rode in an open-top jeep down the Champs-Élysées to inspect the troops, police were alerted by cries from the crowd. The gunman took out a .22 caliber rifle and had fired just 1 shot when police officers wrestled him to the ground. They pinned him against railings to search and handcuff him, then led him away. The French authorities later said the 25-year-old was known to belong to neo-Nazi and hooligan groups. He's now being held at a central Paris police station. Plainclothed detectives followed with the gun and the guitar case it was allegedly hidden in. One government minister claimed it was an assassination attempt. But in a television interview shortly afterwards, the president who crushed the far right in May's elections made no mention of the apparent attempt on his life. Emma Kennedy, 5 News.
The former South African President Nelson Mandela met relatives today of the victims of the Lockerbie bombing. Mr. Mandela had been criticised after meeting the Libyan convicted of smuggling a bomb aboard a Pan Am jet, which exploded over the Scottish borders with a loss of 270 lives. Ruth Hockey reports.
Nelson Mandela arrived to a warm welcome from the crowd gathered outside the South African High Commission. But his meeting with some of the relatives of those killed in the Lockerbie bombing would almost certainly be more awkward. Last month, Mr. Mandela visited the man convicted of the attack at Glasgow's Barlinnie jail. Abdul Basit Ali Mohammed Al-Magrahi is serving life for smuggling the bomb on board the Pan Am jet and killing 270 people. After the visit, Mr. Mandela called for him to be transferred to a jail in a Muslim country, for his jail conditions to be improved and for him to be removed from solitary confinement. He described how a 4-judge commission from Africa had criticised the way Megrahi was convicted at a special Scottish court sitting in the Netherlands. He said the case should be reviewed at either the Privy Council or the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. Tony Blair's already dismissed the idea. Mr. Mandela's meeting today is seen as an attempt to redress the balance with the families of his victims.
Nelson Mandela is due to travel to the States later this year to meet Americans bereaved in the Lockerbie bombing and to gauge their feelings about the judicial process which put the man convicted where he is today. Ruth Hockey, South Africa House, 5 News.
More stories on the move this evening, and the Post Office says it will rethink its plans to charge customers £14 a week to deliver post before 9 o'clock in the morning. But the controversial scrapping of 2 posts a day will still go ahead tomorrow as a trial scheme in some areas of the country. The Post Office won't scrap a charge for the early post altogether. It's considering a lower charge of between £5 and £10 a week. At least 7 people have been injured in an Israeli air attack on a Palestinian security headquarters in Gaza. It's thought to have housed an office of Yasser Arafat's Fatah faction. Residents say the building was empty at the time, but passers-by were injured by flying debris. And India has blamed Pakistan for the deaths of 27 people in a gun attack in India-controlled Kashmir yesterday. The Indian government said today that it believed the attack had been carried out with the support of Pakistan. However, their foreign ministry has issued a statement condemning the violence. Emergency services were almost stretched to breaking point last night after more than 250,000 people turned up for Europe's biggest beach party. The organisers had anticipated 60,000 people for DJ Fatboy Slim's festival in Brighton. Philip Ray-Smith reports.
Organisers were expecting 60,000 revellers at most. In fact, nearly 250,000 crowded onto Brighton Beach last night for the annual free dance party organised by DJ Fatboy Slim. It's thought the weekend's warm weather combined with heavy radio promotion tempted the high numbers out. But what should have been a highlight of the summer festival calendar became a nightmare for many as the beach was hit by human gridlock. As night fell, the sheer number of people on the beach meant many found themselves trapped. Organisers trained spotlights on the shore as the lifeboat plucked unconscious revellers from the sea. Some found the only way to leave the beach was to cling to the back of ambulances moving through the crowd. Police say they were swamped by the turnout.
Well, the numbers that have come to Brighton this evening are far in excess of what was anticipated. We've had some estimates that there might have even been in excess of 200,000 people here, when something in the region of 40 to 60,000 had been expected.
This afternoon it was revealed a man in his 40s died on the beach after suffering a heart attack. A woman aged 26 is critically ill in hospital after falling from railings. Fatboy Slim, real name Norman Cook, described the night as the biggest gig of his career and has thanked the emergency services for their work. Authorities say crowd control measures must be improved if the event is to take place again next year. Philip Ray-Smith, 5 News.
Japanese engineers have seen their plans for a supersonic airliner to replace Concorde to blow up in their faces. They launched a scale model of their jet in the central Australian desert this morning, but as Dan Rivers reports, the flight came to a disastrous end only seconds after takeoff.
It was billed as Japan's first tentative step towards developing a supersonic long-range passenger jet. The unmanned 36-foot model of the plane was supposed to fly at 1,500 miles an hour, high above the outback. But on takeoff, it didn't. Instead, the plane and rocket it was mounted on spiraled out of control, crashing to Earth just a few hundred yards away. The cause of the crash wasn't immediately clear. This is phase 2 of the $200 million project. The local wildlife seemed pretty unimpressed with the abortive takeoff. Further test flights are scheduled this year to see if the plane's revolutionary aerodynamics can cut down on the noise of supersonic flight. As the smoke and flames cleared, the boffins behind the project insist they would learn from their mistake.
Disappointment. However, this is the first step for the verification of our experimental technologies so that we can have another good, successful launch.
But before that, the team need to establish just exactly why the model went super wrong rather than supersonic. Dan Rivers, 5 News.
Reminder of our top stories. 4 children and a man were found dead inside a burnt-out car in East London early this morning. And the former South African President Nelson Mandela has, while we've been on air, defended his decision to get involved in what he called a deadlock between Britain and Libya over the Lockerbie bombing. He says the bomber should be moved to a Muslim country.
I spoke with President Hosni Mubarak, and I spoke to President Ben Ali of Tunisia. They have both agreed that if it is transferred to any of their countries, they would accept him.
Nelson Mandela speaking there. Well, that's it for now, but we're going to keep you updated on those headlines throughout the evening. The next bulletin is just before 9 o'clock this evening. Until then, whatever you're doing, have a very great evening. Bye-bye.
Channel 5 weather, sponsored by RAC Auto Windscreens. On call, whatever the weather. Whew.
Hello. Well, it's been another glorious day. Plenty of warm sunshine right across the country, although we did see a little bit of cloud in parts of Scotland beginning to push eastwards during the afternoon. But apart from that, very pleasant summer's day. Tonight, the cloud will begin to thicken in places, bringing rain and drizzle in from the Atlantic. Now, these showers will affect parts of the northwest for a time, but elsewhere, staying mainly dry. We've got plenty of clear spells, temperatures staying mild too. Tomorrow, another glorious day for much of the country. Patchy light rain, they're beginning to edge slowly southeastwards across northern parts of the UK, although the showers will fizzle out later. Plenty more sunshine in the south, though. Temperatures great too, getting up to a lovely 25. That's it from me for now. I'll leave you with a summary for tonight. And a mostly dry night, a little bit of rain, though, in parts of the northwest.
Channel 5 weather, sponsored by RAC Auto Windscreens. On call, whatever the weather.